I'd like to provide you with some insight as to what the future is going to look like. This is what I predict, and this is only a small part of it. The weather is going to become so bad here on Earth that in order for our cities and population centers to survive how destructive that things are going to get, we're going to be needing to build habitation domes. These are living centers that are going to be structurally fortified to withstand extreme weather events, flooding, extreme winds upwards of 200 to 300 miles per hour. I know that sounds like a stretch right now, but our weather patterns are going to deteriorate so bad in the coming years. Things are going to get so bad because of the way that things have been done, the way that business has been conducted by our governments, by private corporations and individuals, that we're going to need to build these special domes just so that we can withstand and survive those events. And people are going to have apportioned housing, but it's not going to be like it has been. The housing units are going to be much smaller. They're going to be very space efficient. It's going to be like single room housing for the parents and then another room for the children. It's going to be very, very different from what we've experienced thus far. People are going to have these quarters apportioned to them, and we're going to have to build in places where there's tidal events because of wind and rain and extreme weather along the coasts. How they're going to cope with these events is they're going to build pressure domes. The habitation domes and the pressure domes are going to be constructed in such a way that when an extreme weather event or oceanic or atmospheric event is taking place, we're going to be able to seal off these spaces, vacuum sealed and pressurized, to keep water and any other thing that's basically beating on the walls of the dome out. Whether it's massive 50 or 100-foot waves or extreme wind or hail the size of basketballs. I mean, these kind of things are going to happen, people, you know? And all of our solutions for these problems have already been conceived in most cases. If you can imagine it, science fiction has already thought about it. Somebody has imagined these solutions. What I've suggested here is not an original idea from me, but I have this photographic memory, you know, of things that I've seen and heard, and these are a couple of those solutions. Cities like New Orleans, Galveston, Houston, it's possible to ride out a Category 5 hurricane in those places without the city being destroyed. But what I'm talking about constructing will be a major feat of engineering beyond anything anybody's ever conceived of before. Building a flood wall like the Ike Dike, like what they're talking about down there for Galveston County and some of the surrounding areas, is not an effective long-term solution. We're going to have to construct special communities built using space-age materials to withstand extreme weather events, because they're going to get worse going forward. We haven't even seen the worst of it yet, not even by a long shot. There's so much more that's coming, that's going to happen. You can take my word for it, or you can go and you can review the data from all the scientists, and they'll tell you everything that I'm saying here is true as far as this is concerned. The solutions are going to be really extreme. We're going to have to build in ways that we never imagined that we could even build. I mean, you saw how it was on Krypton, you know, in the movies, the TV show. They had cities that were encased in domes. Has anybody ever thought about why that would be necessary? Think about this stuff, you know? In the future, the people who are going to control most of the means and the technology are going to be the people who are educated too. You might be allowed living space and basic essentials if you choose just to be a worker, but only the educated are going to have access to the really high-end tech because it's going to be a matter of necessity. What people have is going to be provided on the basis of necessity. It's not going to be like one of those things where, oh, I can just go and buy this. You know, we'll always have some type of consumer economy to some degree in whatever kind of society that builds out of this, but it's not going to be like it has been. Going forward, life is going to be much different. And we're not going to see the biggest of those changes for 10 to 15 years or so, but I give it a maximum of 20 years, and we're going to see such a drastic difference in things. It's going to be really bad. It is. We need to switch over to 100% renewable energy. We need to stop using fossil fuels completely, stop using coal completely, and put stringent environmental controls in place on all these companies, because what is going on is going to render the earth unlivable, and it's going to create a climate that's unsurvivable for human beings. It's going to get that bad.